All right. Welcome. Here we are. Welcome to the big show. And hopefully, we are coming to you live, I guess, well, I had a little issue with my car. And so we are coming to you live from my mechanic, Joe Romanelli's garage. Nevertheless, we still have lots to talk about, lots to get to. So let's get right to it. By the way, the big show every day brought to you by Archie's on Carson Street. Got down to Archie's. Archie's, home of 80-cent wings, Monday through Thursday, home of the Paul Zeise grilled cheese sandwich. So get down to Archie's and enjoy. Great meal. Great time when you get there. Say hello to Archie for us. Now, we're talking Steelers, and of course, I think the biggest thing with the Steelers this week that you kind of take away from it, even though it's only 1 week, is the offense. The defense was terrible. I don't even know where to start with that. We'll get into it a little bit, but at the end of the day, it feels like the defense will figure some things out. They just got a couple of adjustments they need to make, and they will. And I think when Derek Harmon gets back, they'll be better at stopping the run. But offensively, let's talk about the offense. We'll do that right now on the big show. The offense scored 34 points on Sunday. And, of course, we could sit here and say that was a product of them having a great game. I don't know that they did have a great game, but the thing they did do was they were advantageous. Whenever they needed to score, they scored points. When they got to the red zone, they scored points. They got 4 touchdowns. They had 4 touchdowns from Aaron Rodgers. I think one thing that needs to be said before we go crazy and declare this the greatest offense the Steelers have ever had is that last year, Russell Wilson and company put up 37 points against the Jets. So, the Jets are the Jets. I don't care who's the coach. I don't care who they have, what teams they have, and all the other stuff. To me, at the end of the day, the Jets are the Jets. They're just not very good. However, what the Steelers did, I think, in the passing game the other day has to have you encouraged. I think Aaron Rodgers showed he's not done. He's not cooked. He's not somebody who's over the hill. He is still capable of making the throws they need him to make. I think one of the biggest things that you saw with him is his ability to go out and make adjustments at the line of scrimmage, make good adjustments, make good audibles. When it got down to crunch time, make plays. I mean, that's why you bring a veteran like him in, because he's a guy that knows how to win and knows how to make plays. I'll give you a great example of this. Going way back, not way back, but maybe was it 2017 or 16, whatever Peyton Manning's last year was. If you remember, he was actually on the sideline with a neck injury, came back and he was healthy, and the Broncos were losing a game they needed to win late. I think it was actually against the Chargers. Finally decided to bench whoever the heck was the guy that was playing quarterback and put Peyton Manning back in. The guy could barely throw. He had no strength in his arm. It was clear he was pretty much cooked. But guess what? They came back and won. Then they won again. Then they went through and won in the Super Bowl. And even though he did a whole lot of handing off, he also made throws when they needed him to make throws because he's a veteran. He was a Hall of Famer. He saw things on the field that other guys didn't see. He checked them into good running plays. He checked them into plays, that were good based on the defense he was looking at. Those are the kind of things that you get when you have a veteran quarterback like Aaron Rodgers. Those are the kind of things that you get when you have a guy who has been around, who's seen things that a lot of these young guys haven't seen. And I think when you look at Aaron Rodgers, I don't think he's going to go out and throw for 400 yards every week. In fact, he didn't do it this week. He threw for like 230 or something, or whatever it was. But the reality is, he made throws when they needed him to make throws. He got them into plays and checks when they needed to get into the right play or the right check. He basically is a guy who I think, honestly, if you look at what he did, is the difference between winning and losing. It's why you bring a guy like that here. And so if they can protect him, which we're going to get to that in a few minutes, it's a big if. But if they can protect him, I would really, really, really be encouraged that this offense could be pretty explosive. We saw DK Metcalf. I don't know that anyone should be surprised by what DK Metcalf did, right? I mean, that's who he is. That's why they brought him here. His speed, his size, his physicality. He's a, top 5, top 6, top 8, whatever receiver in the NFL. I think Calvin Austin showed that he could be a little bit of a weapon, although I need to see more from him. But the bottom line is, if he's your second guy and he does what he did this week, which is 4 catches, 70 yards, and a touchdown, you're doing pretty good. At the end of the day, I think that if they can protect Aaron Rodgers, this offense could be pretty good. Now, that's a big if. Mike Tomlin said basically Broderick Jones wasn't good enough. I think it was exactly what he said. Wasn't good enough. Well, okay. I mean, if you want to say it that way to preserve Broderick Jones's feelings, I guess we can do that. But reality is, Broderick Jones stunk. I mean, let's be, painfully and brutally honest. Broderick Jones was bad. Wasn't a good player at all. It wasn't a good player in this game at all. And I think that when he, is out there, they've got to figure out if he's their guy or not. He gave up 3 sacks. He gave up 3 sacks. Let's start there. But in the run game, he wasn't a factor very much at all. He's a guy who, to me, I look at it and say, they went out and they signed him, right? And you hope that he can be better. But it's going to be very interesting if he's not very good. It's going to be interesting if he doesn't get better. It's going to be very interesting because the reality is if he doesn't get better, I'm not sure where they go from there. I'm not sure what their next step is. I'm not sure if they have a better alternative or something that is going to make sense. So to me, I look at that. I look at Broderick Jones and I say, he's a key to what they do. He has got to be better. Seriously. And it's pretty bad when we had people that were pining for Dan Moore Jr. at some point, even though if you look at Dan Moore Jr., he actually didn't have a very good game either yesterday or Sunday. And so to me, you go through this and you say they got to get better at blocking. And here's the other thing I'll tell you, and this is pretty important too, okay? It's pretty important to note that when you are looking at the interior linemen, I just don't know, honestly, if the 3 interior guys were much better than Broderick Jones. Honestly. I think that one of the things about those interior linemen is that you basically are going to need to start winning blocks against the other team's defensive line if you're going to run the football. Honestly. And they didn't run the football at all the other day. Not at all. So I feel like, when you look at this as a whole, the 3 interior linemen, were they better than Broderick Jones and Troy Fautanu? Yeah, the 2 tackles I thought had a rough day. No question about it. But I don't know that they were that much better. I don't know that they were that much better, to be honest. Because I think it's one of those things where you watch what they did in the run game, they didn't get a lot of push. They were just not able to get a lot of push. They were not able to get a lot of room for their running backs. Again, I'm still not convinced that Jaylen Warren is an every down back. I'm still not convinced he's good enough. Kenneth Gainwell, to me, is sort of a nickel and dimer. But I think they're better than what they did the other day if they could have a little bit of room to run. So I think it's really important to note that, honestly, that there's a time and a place that we can sit here and basically say Broderick Jones and Troy Fautanu were the big problems. But the reality The reality is not necessarily. They weren't necessarily just the only problems on the offensive line. And if they get a little better on the offensive line, then I think they have an opportunity in so many ways. They have an opportunity maybe to get better as an offense. And you know what? If they can run the ball, given how Aaron Rodgers played the other day, the offense can be really explosive. By the way, download the Game Time app. The Game Time app allows you to go out and buy tickets, last-minute tickets, tickets for all kinds of sporting events and many other venues. Go get the Game Time app, download it. And the reason you're going to download it is because you're going to save money on all those tickets, and you're going to have the best choice when it comes to late in the game tickets, last-minute tickets, right? Bottom line is, if you download the Game Time app, use the promo code PG Sports, you'll get $20 off your first purchase. Game Time app has a couple of things going for it. Number one, and I think first and foremost, and I think this is the most important thing, the price you see on the website is the price you'll pay for the tickets. There's none of these ridiculous fees where you look at the price of a ticket and it's only like $40 and you're excited. Then you go to checkout and it's $75 and you say, well, wait a minute, what happened? There's none of that. If it says $40 on the Game Time app, that's how much you're going to pay. The other thing is you can even save a few extra dollars if you're willing to be a little flexible in your seating. You can put in, hey, I would like a ticket in this section or this section and this section. It's called zone deals. They pick the tickets for you in those sections, and guess what? You get a little discount on that. You can snag new ticket deals before anyone finds out about them just by favoriting the teams you're looking for. So at the end of the day, you've got a lot of different ways and a lot of different things that you can do in order to save money on low. The other part is it's the lowest price guarantee, which I don't think anybody else does, to be honest, but Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference if you find the same ticket somewhere else for less money. Legit tickets delivered on time, and your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticket industry. So again, download the Game Time app, use the promo code PG Sports, you get $20 off your first purchase. Back to the Steelers. Now, the offensive line is one thing we talked about. And I think the other thing about it is there are a number of people that talk about the offensive line coach. I don't know if that really matters that much. I know, they've been chasing. People have been chasing the offensive line coach ever since Mike Munchak. I think it's a little overrated. But the bottom line is Broderick Jones certainly hasn't developed. Troy Fautanu, we'll see what happens with him. Maybe there's something to be said about that, about developing your offensive linemen. But at the end of the day, the offensive line has to play better. Your two tackles have to play better, period. And that's really what it comes down to. Those two guys have to play better if they're going to be if the Steelers are going to get to where they want to get to. Aaron Rodgers, to me, I thought was exactly what I thought he would be. No, I didn't think he'd throw for 4 touchdowns every game. I do want to point out that in his last 11 games now, 22 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. So, not necessarily a guy who's done. But I would say this. You look at what he did the other day, and it's pretty much what I thought he would do. He ran the offense. If there was a breakdown in protection, he got killed because he can't move. But he was just mobile enough to make a few plays with his legs, throwing the ball down the field on the run. He's smart. He made good adjustments. He made good checks. He got the ball to the right people. And I think that's a big, big part of, why I think you should be encouraged, because to me, he looked every bit of the part of the starting quarterback in the NFL that gives you a chance to win. His numbers weren't off the charts, but 22 of 30 means he was very efficient, 244 yards, 8.1 per throw, 4 touchdowns. He threw no interceptions. He did take 4 sacks. I don't know that I'd put any of those sacks on him. I think that, to be honest, they've got to do a better job of figuring out how to protect him, because he'll get killed if he gets hit like he did this week, every week. And I don't think there's a question about it. If you look at who he threw it to, you know what? He threw it to Metcalf, Austin, Freiermuth, Skoranek, Warren, Jonnu Smith, and Kenneth Gainwell. 7 different receivers. Spread the ball out, got it out when he needed to get it out. We need to see more from Jonnu Smith, but I think they were just trying to figure out how to sort of work him in. He did have 5 catches, but for 15 yards, which means he basically was sort of the ultimate safety valve. But again, I think there's a lot that you can like here when it comes to them. I think there's a lot that you can really like here. And to me, that's where we're at if you're a Steeler fan. You got to feel good about the things they did well. Now, defensively, listen, I think that the defense might have some issues. The secondary looked good. They got beat on a couple of plays. Darius Slay got beat on a play where, it just looked like he's old to me. But again, he was matched up against the Jets' best receiver. That was a schematic thing. Give credit to the Jets' offensive coordinator for basically creating that matchup where, they had their best receiver in the slot and Darius Slay trying to cover him. But I think their secondary is actually going to be really good. And I think part of that is they've got some depth. I think they've got some versatility. I think they have some players now that they can move around a little bit. I think they can also go, if they need to, match up against teams that have 3 or 4 really, decent receivers like the Bengals. I think the secondary is going to be fine. And I think that's really just kind of one of the strengths. They just signed Jabril Peppers, so it gives them another guy who has got a little bit of the ability to, play a couple of different positions back there. I think their defensive backfield is good. Here's the things that really, really concern me. For lack of a better term, they got their ass kicked up front. I mean, Cam Hayward, maybe he's rusty because he was holding in or holding out or whatever the hell he was doing, but at the end of the day, was almost a non-factor. The other defensive linemen were a non-factor. The 2 inside linebackers, I think, are better in coverage and better running down the field than they are stepping up, putting their helmet in there and smacking somebody in the mouth. I think this could be an issue, especially until Derek Harmon comes back. I think they might be a team that gets the teams are able to run right at. TJ Watt obviously made a couple of plays, tackles for losses or whatever, but you can neutralize him really. It's not that hard to neutralize him in the running game, especially if you run right at him. Or better yet, run on the other side where there's nobody to be scared of, right? And you just sort of chip them from the backside. And that happened a few times. There was at least 3 or 4 plays I can think of where they ran the other way and TJ Watt was trying to chase the play. But to me, I look at that front 7 and have real concerns. Not about Highsmith and Watt. They do what they do. But the guys in the interior of that front 7, the 2 inside linebackers and the 3 defensive linemen, although I would assume that Cam Hayward will get better and better as he starts to, get back into the groove again. So let's say he's not going to be an issue. But until they have Derek Harmon back, I think you're basically going to get pushed around every single week. I think that could be a real problem. I just think their defensive line is just not that good. And I've said this actually all summer long, and nothing I saw Sunday changes my opinion of that. And so it feels to me like now you have to think about it from this standpoint. Is this going to be something that Derek Harmon fixes by himself? Because if it's not, this could be a team that struggles. I mean, imagine Baltimore running against this team. And I know that the Steelers have had a lot of success against Lamar Jackson. I don't know. Watching what the Jets did the other day, I don't know how you could feel good about Derrick Henry running straight down the throats of the Steelers if that's what they have in the middle of their defense. I mean, just trying to be honest here. That's going to be something to watch, is how do they get to a point where they're able to plug some of the problems they had on defense. Because at the end of the day, the Jets ran for 182 yards. They averaged 4.7 yards per carry. Breece Hall, he ran 19 times for 107 yards, 5.6 per carry. Some of the running game of the Jets was Justin Fields. Well, you know what? I mean, you play a number of the teams that they play, they've got running quarterbacks. You better figure that out pretty quickly. But Justin Fields ran pretty wild too. And that's where I will tell you the issue to me is, in all sincerity, Justin Fields averaged 9.9 yards per throw. I think part of that was just because they were setting so many things up off the running game. And, I don't worry about their secondary getting, picked apart by teams. Again, you want to tell me Joe Burrow comes in here with those receivers and has a big day? Okay, because that's what they do. But most teams are not. They don't have a Joe Burrow with those kind of receivers, and it's not what you're looking at. The Steelers probably, with their defensive backfield, I think they're going to be good enough most weeks. The question, and I think because you've got Highsmith and Watt, you've got the ability probably to put pressure on passer, on quarterbacks. So I think they'll be okay against the pass. I do. I just worry about them against the run. One game, I know. Let's not overreact, yada, yada. I get all that. But, boy, I'll tell you what. If it's not one game, it could be a long season. They start playing against some of these better teams. If they can't get this thing plugged. And I don't know that it's going to be just as easy as, well, don't worry, when Derek Harmon comes back, it's all going to be solved. Well, you hope that's the case, but the reality is I don't know that that's necessarily going to be the case, because the reality is he's a rookie and he's coming off an injury where he's going to miss, about a month of the season. And if he's going to miss a month of the season, which he will, I mean, that's time that he's going to be out. At any rate, are you having trouble finding the right people to hire? Tired of sorting through endless resumes? Future of hiring looks much brighter because ZipRecruiter's latest tools and features help speed up finding the right people for your roles. So you save valuable time, and now you can try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/audio. With ZipRecruiter's new advances, you can easily find and connect with qualified candidates in minutes. See a candidate you're really interested in, you can unlock their contact info instantly. Use ZipRecruiter, save time hiring. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. And if you go to ZipRecruiter.com/audio right now, you can try it for free. Again, that's ZipRecruiter.com/audio. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And as always, it is one of these things where I have to laugh. Someone says, does Paul Zeise own a Ford Pinto? No, I said I'm in my mechanic's garage here. I got some car issues of my own that they're working on. So 5 o'clock comes around, I got to be able to do my show wherever. But anyway, it's a pretty cool car actually behind me. Anyway, the big show brought to you by Archie's on Carson Street. Get down to Archie's. Archie's is the home of 80-cent wings Monday through Thursday, 80-cent wings. And it's also the home of the Paul Zeise grilled cheese sandwich. So get down to Archie's. Monday Night Football, I'm always at Archie's. So get down to Archie's and enjoy a good meal and a good time as we are there having our fun, as we usually do at Archie's on Carson Street. So anyway, we're talking about the Steelers. And again, next week they play Seattle. Seattle's got a pretty good defense. It's their home opener. I expect them to play well. I expect them to do well. I think that, the Seahawks are probably a little better than people think. They've got a really good defense, so we'll see. It should be a good challenge for the offense. I think the Steelers' defense should have some success, and we will see how that goes. Now, the Pirates, of course, have played a little bit better in recent weeks. People are starting to get excited about them, although they just played the Brewers this past weekend. They got killed. 3 games, outscored 19-4 or 19-5 or something. It kind of put a little damper on their little surge because they are back to being like 25 games out of first place, right? But here's the other thing. They now sit on the doorstep of yet another losing season. They've got 80 losses. So unless they go, let's see, let me do the math real quick, 18-0 in their last 18 games, they're going to finish with a record of under 500. If they go 9-9, let's say that, they're going to finish with 73 wins, which is 3 less than the last 2 years. In year 6, that's not good enough. And, you know, we do this dance every single year where everybody gets all excited about this little surges late in the season. And, boy, there's some young guys that we really can get that excited about. And this pitching staff, well, we saw Bubba Chandler. Maybe we shouldn't put him in Cooperstown just yet the other day. We saw him get lit up like a Christmas tree. I always say this because I just don't buy any of it. I think Paul Skeens obviously is who he is. He's, you know, the best pitcher in baseball right now. I get it. Okay, good. People are like, oh, don't forget Jared Jones. We haven't seen Jared Jones for a year. Maybe he'll come back and be what he was, or maybe he won't. He's coming off a major, major injury, right? Bubba Chandler. Oh, let's look at Bubba Chandler because, you know, he had a save. I think he got a save, and it's for a 4-3-inning save in an 8-0 game or whatever his first game. Let's see what he becomes when he's an everyday starter next year, right? Brash and Avcraft, same thing. I mean, at the end of the day, these guys, we don't know what they're going to be. Spencer Horwitz has had a reasonably good, you know, surge here at the end of the season. Okay, let's see if he can stay healthy with his wrist, chronic wrist injury. I think Nick Gonzalez is fine. Who do you have at shortstop? Who do you have at third base? Your catchers are your catchers. Maybe they're good defensively, but none of them can hit. Tommy Pham ain't going to be here. McCutchen probably ain't going to be here. And those are 2 of your best hitters. Is O'Neal Cruz still going to be a 600 RPS guy? Or whatever he is? Or OPS, 600 OPS guy? What is he going to be? I mean, there's a lot that needs to happen here for the Pirates before I get excited. Starting also with, they need to go out and sign some people. And they're not going to do that. So I don't want to hear, honestly, I just don't want to hear about this little surge they've had where they won, 5 of 6 games and they swept the Dodgers. And this pitching staff, I'm going to tell you, you better get on board now. All that other stuff, we hear it every year. Every year it's the same. Every year it's the same. Coming down the stretch, you know, they play 6 games against bad teams right now, Baltimore and then Washington. And they also play, you know, so they but they play the Reds and the Braves are bad, the Reds. I mean, they should be able to, this last 18 games, they should be able to win 12, 13 of them for sure because they're playing bad teams. But at the end of the day, I just don't think that's going to happen. And so I'm not going to be one to get all excited about the Pirates this year, no matter what happens. They've got a couple of good young pitchers that look promising. Let's see what happens when they are the full-time starters of this staff. And that doesn't even, you know, account for Mitch Keller, who I can't imagine they're going to bring back with that salary. And Brian Reynolds, who I can't imagine they're going to bring back with that salary. Okay, we're going to do it again tomorrow. Tomorrow we will actually have our first Steeler practice after their first game. I'm sure that there will be lots of different quotes and things coming out of the locker room. We will also know a little bit more about the injured guys and whether or not they're ready to play or ready to practice. So we've got a lot to get to tomorrow. We'll do that. But until such time, enjoy your night.
Thank you for checking out this content from Post-Gazette Sports. If you watch this video on YouTube, please like the video and subscribe to our channel. For all of the sports coverage the Post-Gazette has to offer, visit post-gazette.com.